Okay, so in the previous video, what we took a look at is how we put in text, how we might put in different headings, and how we might change the style of the text. Now I want to show you how we put in a background color because our page is simply white at the moment. So I want to show you how we would put in a background color, and also I want to show you how you would change all the text color and then how you would target a certain part of the text. So for example, you might want the heading a different color than the rest. But the first thing I want to do is show you how you would change the background color. And on our website, so I mean the Coding Academy website, the code that we require for that is actually already in there. So if I go to our Coding Academy website, which you are on at the moment, if you're looking at this video, you'll notice that there is a code to copy here for the background linear gradient, and I'll show you what it does. So I'm going to copy it by highlighting it, dragging my cursor across, and then remember it's Control C, so C for cat, Control C on the keyboard, and I go back to my REPL. When we're styling something, we're always using the style.css file, so I'll click on the style.css, and I'm just going to put it in anywhere here, as long as it's in the body. And remember, the body has a curly brace here and a curly brace here, so somewhere in the body, I can move it down, move it up, it doesn't make any difference as long as it's in the body tag here. I'm going to paste that in, and that's Control V for van, Control, hold down V. Okay, so if I run that now, you'll notice it puts in a linear gradient. That means it grades it from, in this case, red to yellow. Of course, you don't need to use red or yellow. If you hover over it or if you type in a specific color, it should give you a different color anyway. And if I press run again, it'll have changed that color. If we want to put in more than one color, let's say I wanted another color in here, what I would do, so I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it, what I would do in that case is I would put a comma in. So let's say I wanted 3 colors instead of 2 colors. I would put a comma in here, and I would put in my new color, maybe something like white. And I'll zoom back out for a moment and press run, and you can see it fades to white on the side. If you want a different option than just straight across, so for example, that says to right. If you wanted yours to not go to the right hand side or but go to the left hand side, you change that. If you want to see other options on it, you will need to search a website called W3 Schools. So you'll go W3 Schools, linear gradient, and it will show you all of the options you have there, CSS gradients. It'll show you all the different options that you can possibly do. Now, spend a bit of time on that. It can go top to bottom. It'll give you an example of the code that you can copy and paste. Absolutely, you can copy and paste that in. You can go left to right, you can go right to left. You can check that out. But if you're happy with this one here, which is just a linear gradient going to the right, what you do is you type in this, or sorry, you don't even have to type it in. You can copy and paste it in, but it says linear gradient to right, comma, first color, comma, second color. Don't worry that changed that to not a word that we normally recognize. That's just another way a website can recognize a color. And then the last one then I put in was white. But again, you don't have to put in 3, you can put in 1, you can put in 2 or more. Basically, that's what we're going to have to do. So that is our background color now. So if you think of it, what we've done at the moment, we've put in text, we've changed the style of it. The next thing we want to do, we might want to change all of that text color. Now that text color is okay on that, but maybe we would want to change all of that color to a different color. Again, we're styling the website. Therefore, what we're going to do is stay in our body here. So stay in our style.css. And if we want to change the color of all of the text, what we were going to need to do is we're going to need to go color. And remember, when I start typing, it'll bring it up for me. So you can see I can type and bring it up. So it's color. Oops, sorry, I'm going to edit that. I'm going to click on color. And remember, they spell it C-O-L-O-R. And sure, what color? Let's say something like blue. And remember, I got to finish with a semicolon. And again, if I hover over, it'll bring me different colors anyway. But if I just run it now, let's see what that looks like. Looks not great, actually. So I might hover over it and pick a slightly different color. Maybe a darker color might actually suit it. Okay, that's not bad. It's nearly back to black again. 000, and this will be all black anyway. So you can decide on the color, depends on what your gradient colors are. So now at the moment we have text in, we have styled the text, and of course we can put more text in by copying and pasting it from other websites in. We don't have to type it all out. And now we have a color in here. But what if I wanted to style up a specific part of it? Let's say the heading, for example. If I want to style up a specific part of that, what I need to do is I need to make it a target. In other words, tell the website it's this bit here that I want to actually do. And in that, my heading here, and again this is optional, my heading here, I'll zoom in to show you the heading. My heading there is my name here. I'm going to give that a class. So that allows me to target it. And my class equals, and in brackets, I'm going to, or sorry, in quotes, what I'm going to do is give it a class, and I'm going to say heading. Now you can make up this name. It's whatever you want to actually do on it here. So I'll scroll back up here and show you what we've done. Okay, so I'll just zoom in again just to let you see it. So what I've done is inside this H1 tag, that's the piece of text that I want to target, a piece of text I want to change. What I've done is I've asked it to give it a class, and it says CLASS equals, and then in brackets, I've made up this heading. You can call that whatever you want, okay? So that's important, but it's important that I'm going to copy and paste that. So I've highlighted it there, Control C. I'm going to zoom back out. Don't worry, you don't have to zoom in and out like I am. Control C, go back to my style sheet then, and I'm going to tidy up this code because I don't want to have those spaces like that. I'm going to put my cursor in after the last bracket. Now this is important. You see when I click on these brackets, it highlights the two of them. That's really important, it highlights that. And I'm going to go underneath it, and to target it, what I'm going to have to start typing is a full stop, so a dot, and then heading. Why heading? Well, back here, if you remember, what I was is I put in this class called heading, and that's going to allow me to target it. So dot heading. And again in brackets, I'm going to say color because I want to change the color of the text. What color am I going to change it to? Let's say white in this case. But again, this is entirely up to you. Now, if I zoom out again, just to let you see it and run, now only my heading has changed. Only this heading has changed. Again, this is optional. You may want to do it, you may not want to do it. But obviously, if you highlight the heading in a different color, it's going to be a different color here and stand out a little bit more. So again, how did I do it? I'll zoom in. I gave it a class called heading, and of course you can do this not with just the heading. It can be any of your different sections. You could have different color for each of your paragraphs if you wanted. So class, and it goes inside. So now when I zoom in, let you see it. The class goes inside these brackets here. And what did I do with that class? Well, I went to my style sheet, and here we go. I have heading, dot heading. What do I want to change? I want to change the color, and in this case, I made it white. But again, of course, if I hover over it, it'll give me all the different colors. So that's how I'm going to target a piece of text. The other thing I might want to do, it's all to the left-hand side here now. So what I might want to do is I might want to make all of my text in the center. So I'm going to go back into my body now. I'm going to press the return key just to make a few more. And I'm going to go with a text align. Okay, so what I want to do is get all my text to center here. So I'm going to go text align, and it comes up. Again, text align, and I'm going to go with center. If I start pressing C, it will automatically fill it in for me. Don't forget your semicolon at the end of it. And let's run that and see what that does. It puts all of my text in the center of the page. Okay, so text align center will allow me to put all of my text in the center of the page. Other things that of course you're going to want to put in would be some images. So that will be the next thing I'm going to take a look at. How are we actually going to put an image into the actual website itself? That will be the next section of it. So to put in an image into our website, what we need to do is put in, there's a couple of different ways, but the easiest way I think is to put in this thing called a figure tag. Now, again, this is one of the areas where we don't actually have to write some code. I'll plus a new tab, figure tag, and again, this W3 Schools is the website I'm going to use. And it will have an example already. All right, so here's my example on W3 Schools. Now, I'm going to change things about that example, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it. So I start it at the end, highlight it, Control C, that's CTRL, hold down the letter C, go back to my website, back into my index file now, because when I'm putting in pictures, I put them in the index file. I'm going to just go underneath here. You can place them wherever you want now. Wherever you put them here is where they're going to appear. So for example, I'm putting it underneath this thriving school section. So therefore my image will appear in here. Now it just has to make sure that it's above this. It has to be somewhere above this. So Control V. Now when I run this, watch what happens on the right hand side. It brings up like a blank image here. In other words, that means it can't find that image. And that's because the address of the image I'm using is not the correct address. Just like your house has an address, every image on the internet has an address. And the address on this is what they're calling the source of the image. Okay, so you can see it here. If I scroll down here, at the moment it says the source of the image is pictruly.jpg. And that doesn't exist on the internet, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a picture. Let's say, for example, I wanted a school crest. So I might go to Google Images. And if I put in St. Patrick's Classical School now, let's see what comes up. Okay. That's not bad, that's the crest here. But if I right click on that, now right click with your mouse, right click on that, the options that come up for me, so right click on it, some of the options that come up for me is save link as, all of these ones, but the one I want to take is copy image address, copy image address. It doesn't look like anything has happened, but then when I go back to my figure tag, what I want to do is take the incorrect address out from the source and paste in my new one. So Control V. Now it's a crazy big long image. You can see your one may not be the exact same as that. So I'm just going to press play on it just to make sure that it loads properly for me. Alright, so just press play on it now just to make sure it loads, but it's not letting me zoom out for some reason. Oh yeah, I'm out now. Okay, so you can see that's a crazy big long image, but let's see, does it work first of all? Yeah, and it's put in the school crest. But you can see there's a problem at the bottom of it. It says there that it's in Italy, part of Italy. So let's see what we can do with that. I can also show you how you tidy this up. So that has put in a big long address on it. Let's focus in on what it says down here. The fig caption part of it. That's going to be an important part. So I'll just zoom in a little bit on it just to let you see that. This one here where it says fig caption, that says what this caption says over here on the right hand side. So obviously I would want to change that. Like for example, in this case, I might want to say something like St. Patrick's Classical School crest, and of course you put in what's relevant to you. Press play again, and when I scroll down it says St. Patrick's Classical School's crest. The other thing that I might want to change is the width of the image is quite big, and the width of the image comes from here. So I might want to change that. If I want to make the image smaller, change that width from 100% to something like, I don't know, 50%. Let's see what 50% is going to look like here. Yeah, it looks probably a bit better. So you can decide on that. Now, we have this crazy big long code then. So I'll just zoom out back to 100% just to let you see. We have this crazy long code here. So how are we going to hide that away? Because that's completely dominating our website over here, or dominating our code. We can actually hide it away with no issue at all. Because what we can do is if I go to where it says figure, a little minus comes up here. That means hide this away, but still make it work. So you can see plus, minus, plus, minus. I'm going to leave it at minus. If I press run, you can see that it actually still makes the website run. Now, over on the right hand side here also you can see that our website is not full screen. If you want to check and see what does your website really look like full screen, there's a little button in the top corner that looks like a square with an arrow pointing to the right, and when I hover over it, it says open in a new tab. I've found that this is quite slow to actually load a lot of the time. Actually, it's quite quick there now, but normally it's quite slow to load. And you can see when I go to full screen here, my text is pretty okay, but my image is still incredibly large. So you might want to look at it full screen, and then maybe you might want to change it to something else. Like for example here, I think that's too big for me. So I might go to something like, I don't know, a third of the size of the screen might be okay in this case. Now again, that's entirely up to you. That changes it on this, made it smaller, but it didn't change it on this. Okay, so why it didn't change it on this one doesn't automatically update. You got to refresh or reload the page. And when we reload the page, you can see it becomes smaller. So there's 1/3 of the screen, 1/3 of the screen, 1/3 of the screen. Okay, so that's where that is coming from here. I think at the moment that's probably enough for that video. It means that you can put in more images. So how would you put in more images? Well, you'd put in more images by using another one of these tags here. So in other words, you'll still have that open, and if you don't, just search it again, copy and paste that. How did I actually put in the image? I went to Google Images, I right-clicked on the image and copied its address. Its address, just like you have an address, every image has an address, and then I pasted it in. Where did I actually paste it in? I pasted it into what's called the image source. It might be easier to see if I go here and zoom in. So the image source is the image address. So this bit here is the bit that I pasted, that I changed. I changed this bit. Very important, the quotes are basically like a stamp on the letter. It doesn't go anywhere unless you put it in between the quotes. And then the caption is just the text that will come up underneath. Okay, and the width you can change as well when you need to change it. But put in plenty of images, and as I say, put in captions underneath them and put in different widths and see what your website starts to look like then.